I think it's funny when people divide what class they're in based on their income bracket. A lot of times people ask, what do you have against rich people? And I personally don't have anything against rich people for being rich. It's just that the way they got rich wasn't right. I don't necessarily think that they're a bad person because they're rich, because of what they have. Just like I don't think a poor person is a bad person because of what they don't have. But the fact is that those riches didn't come from nowhere. And they certainly didn't work for them themselves. Um, Now, there's probably some exceptions to that. Like off the top of my head, I'm thinking probably like artists and authors and stuff. But even then, um, you have people working to make that happen besides yourself. What I'm really focused on is the people who own stuff, and through the stuff they own, that's how they make their living. Um, if they didn't show up to work for a couple weeks, they would still be making a living. Whereas a working person wouldn't show up to work for a couple weeks and they wouldn't get paid because they're not working. And that includes, poor people, so called middle class people, people who work and have a business, but they work more than have the business. And then there's like that middle ground where you can make a good portion of your money, like half and half, like half working, half a business. But even then, I still consider that like in between working class and the owning class. But yeah, that's when people say, what do you have against the rich? You're just jealous. I'm not jealous. I don't want to be rich. I would not want to be rich. I really don't. Um, it's just that the working class is working for the benefit of those rich people and not seeing enough of it. And that's not jealousy. That's just fairness. Now, jealousy and greed is when you shove the poor people out of the way because you want a little bit more money. Or you go and invest and you put all your money into investing instead of working because you want that money. I don't really blame people for investing. I mean, I would do it if I had money, but what I'm saying is the greedy ones are not the poor people wanting a living wage. The greedy ones are the ones who would willingly shove aside the poor people so that they could get a little bit more money and become closer to the rich people. The greedy ones are the ones who think that they are like future rich people. The greedy ones are the ones who just want money. The poor people don't just want money, they just want to live. But yeah, anyways, back to my point. I just wanted to quickly like point out that like poor people, middle class people, that whole anybody who's working for a living is working class. I don't like to divide it with poor and middle class and everything. There are some differences, but at the end of the day, there's two or three classes, like when you simplify it. There's the working class, the owning class, and the ones in between who are, you know, a good portion of both. They both work and own stuff. Um, that makes them their living. That's the thing. If most of your living comes from your labor, you are the working class. If most of your living comes from what you own, you are not the working class. You're, the owning class. Um, So yeah, I think it would help a lot if we would use that type of language instead of dividing people by their income brackets, because the problem here isn't your income. You know, your income itself does not determine whether you're a bad person or a good person or anything like that. It's the problem is like how that money is distributed. That's the problem.